Hi everyone. I usually like to kick off the school year every year with a student survey. It asks a series of a variety of different questions, and it's very helpful for me to get to know you guys a little bit better. And I thought this year, out of fairness, because we're not in the classroom together, I would fill this out and do the same for you guys so you guys can know a few things about me. So you'll be able to find this in your assignments this week and be able to just click on it. It's a Word document, then you can just fill it out and then upload it and get it back to me, and then I can learn a little bit more about you guys. So here we go. So first question on here, and I won't answer every single question on here because some of them would be better well suited for you. But there's a few in here that I even think about these every year. So we'll kick this off with the first question. What is your full name? So I usually sign all my documents and whatnot as Michael M. Hensley. And the M is for Maury. So my actual full name is Michael Maury Hensley. So for some of you that have been asking me that question for years, now you know. Do you have a nickname? If so, what is it? No, I do not have a nickname, but you guys can call me Michael. You can call me Hensley. You can call me Michael Hensley. I'll leave that up to you. Just don't call me Mr. I don't like to be called Mr. So Michael Hensley, Mr. Hensley, any of those are fine. Or you can come up with your own name, whatever you feel is suitable. Grandpa Hensley, since I have a few grandkids. That's up to you. When is your birthday? Okay, here's the good one. I have kids that have been asking me this for years, and here we go. So if I was born in 1960, and we are now in the year 2020, and I have an August birthday, if I was born at the end of the month, I suppose I would be turning 60 this year. If I was born at the beginning of the month and it had already passed, I would currently be 60. But that is not when I was born, and so you guys still don't have an answer for that. You have to figure it out on your own. I have friends that are very close friends that still don't know for sure exactly how old I am. It's a math problem. All right, so moving on. Do you have any siblings? If so, how many? Yes, I have 2 sisters. One lives in Santa Fe and the other one currently lives in Albuquerque. Do you have any pets? At present, I have a black lab, our family pet, and her name is Gordy, and she is very, very sweet. Who is your favorite relative and why? I don't have a favorite relative. I love all my relatives equally. My kids, my father, and it would be impossible for me to say that I have a favorite. Moving on here to experiences and interest in art. What is your experience with art? For me, I went to art school back when I was very young, just out of high school, and I originally went to school for sculpture, but have since decided I prefer drawing and painting, and so I have been doing drawing and painting for years. I'm particularly a fan of drawing. That's probably my favorite. What is the last artistic thing you did? The last artistic thing I did was I did a series of animal drawings, baby animal drawings, for my soon-to-be-coming grandson. My son and his wife are expecting in September, and I did a series of drawings for their future son's bedroom. So that was the last fun thing that I did in terms of that. Do you like to draw, sketch, or doodle on a daily basis? Yes, I try to draw every single day of the year. I love drawing. Um, it gives me a great deal of pleasure, and I've been doing it for years and years and years. Have you ever visited an art museum or art gallery to see an exhibit? Yes, I have, whenever possible, tried to get to museums and galleries. I have certain artists that I truly love, and if I see that they're going to have an exhibition that's in an area that's close to me, I definitely try to get there to view the exhibition. Do you have art supplies at home and use them frequently? Oh, I have art supplies. I am addicted to buying art supplies. I probably won't even ever be able to use them all in my lifetime. But it gives me pleasure. I love having them around, and whenever I have the opportunity, I'm constantly using them. Do you work or have you worked apprenticed at an art-related business? Yes, our family had an art gallery in Taos for probably close to 40 years. We were located downtown, and it was the Hensley Gallery. We had large paintings. We carried a variety of artists. Both my father and I are artists, and so the majority of the gallery represented our own work. But since I have moved on, I made a conscientious choice to start teaching a few years ago. I absolutely love teaching and have no regrets with that whatsoever. Have you ever taken private art lessons or attended a camp workshop devoted to art? I have not taken one, but I have taught private workshops for many, many, many years, and still enjoy doing that. In addition to working with the schools, I still in the summer like to do private workshops when the opportunity lends itself. Do you like to draw from your imagination? I love to draw from my imagination. In this stage of my life, I probably draw from my imagination more than anything else. We'll skip a few in here so we don't take up all of your day. What fine art subjects are of the greatest interest to you? I personally, first and foremost, I love drawing the human figure. Since we're human figures, it gives me an opportunity to express human emotion, the spirit of humankind, all elements of humanity. And so that is by far and away my first love. I find it infinitely challenging to draw and paint the human figure. I also like to draw and paint animals. And in recent years, I've been particularly fond of drawing and painting dragons and mythical beasts. I think that goes back to when I was a young kid and I just loved reading fantasy books. And so that's always been in the back of my mind, is something that I truly love. Skip down here. Do you like to sing, dance, or act? No. I am probably the worst singer that ever lived on this planet. I'm an even worse dancer, so you're not going to see me on a dance floor anytime soon. And act, I have always been way too shy to do that. I highly respect everybody that has the ability to sing, dance, and act. In fact, I love watching people do that all the time, probably because I am so bad at it. And I have great admiration for people that have true talent in those areas. So those are a few of those. Academics, on this next page, I won't go through a whole lot of those, but I do want to say list academics subjects that are the greatest interest to you. I love to read. I have tons and tons of books. I constantly am reading. I love educating myself in many different capacities. So that definitely is at the top of my list for me. I also like mathematics and the essence of how it relates to divine proportion and idealized proportion. And so that part of mathematics is definitely of interest to me as well. And at some point in one of my art classes, if you continue on with art classes over the years, I usually do a thing on compositional design and divine proportion, and you'll get a little hint of that. Bunch of stuff related to Fibonacci, the Fibonacci numbers, the Fibonacci sequence, phi, and so forth, and how all that relates to the art world. It's really fascinating for me. And I'll skip through future goals and whatnot and move on here to this last section. What are your hobbies? For me, obviously, outside of spending time with my family, my hobbies would be obviously art, except I don't consider it necessarily a hobby, but more of a passion. But I do love to go out hiking and biking, snowshoeing. I love being outdoors all year round. Doesn't matter if it's summer or winter or what the conditions are, as long as there's not lightning. Lightning terrifies me, so I won't spend a lot of time out there with lightning. What extracurricular activities outside of school do you participate in, if any? I, for the last almost 30 years, have spent a great deal of time coaching soccer. I love soccer. All my kids played soccer. That's how I initially got into it. But ultimately, I love all sports. Anytime somebody is good at something, it doesn't matter what it is, I have great admiration for that. And so I don't have kind of a narrow focus, even though I have chosen to coach soccer for many years. I love all sports. What is your favorite type of music? Well, I like most genre music. The most popular music, I am told, in the United States is country. I am sad to say, for all you country aficionados, that is probably my least favorite. Sorry. What is your favorite TV series and movie? In recent times, I loved the Game of Thrones. I found that fascinating, and it helps that the artist or the author that wrote it is a native New Mexican. He lives down in Santa Fe, but ultimately I think it's just a fascinating read and an even better TV series. I enjoyed it immensely. Favorite movie for me, I really liked, it's kind of an older movie now, but I really loved a movie called A Room with a View, it was written by Ian Forster, and I love that movie. It's kind of a slow, romantic movie, but I'm a sucker for that type of film. So I love that one. In the section more about you, here's an interesting one. Do you prefer odd numbers or even numbers? And for me, I really like odd numbers. And it's interesting that there's lots of studies been done about what people prefer. So a lot of times, if you look at numbers between 1 and 9, more oftentimes than not, men prefer odd numbers and females prefer even numbers. No one really knows why. And then when you get to double-digit numbers, which is 10 and above, then it can sometimes change, and sometimes it's a little more even. But oddly enough, if you're doing numbers 10 and above, I probably like even numbers a little better than the odd numbers. Not sure why that is. What is your favorite number? I have always, for some reason or other, liked the number 3. I suppose that could change, but at this point, I'm pretty fond of the number 3. If you could invite 3 famous people to dinner, who would they be and why? This is kind of an interesting selection for me. I Would love to sit down and have dinner with a person that's no longer, or well, actually, a couple of these are no longer around, but one is Albert Schweitzer. He was a great medical practitioner, a doctor who spent a lot of his years volunteering his time and working with people in Africa. And I think he was a great doctor and a great human being. I also would really love to sit down and have a dinner with Jorge Luis Borges. I think he's one of the greatest authors in recent times. He was from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and he wrote fantastic short stories, essays. I just think overall he was brilliant. And I love the Dalai Lama. I think the Dalai Lama is a very profound, very thoughtful, wonderful person. And so those three are three of the people that I would love to sit down and have a dinner with. In addition to that, I have another choice of three for more sentimental reasons, not necessarily because they're famous. But I would love to sit down again and have dinner with my mother, my daughter Zoe, and my dearest friend Erica. I think it would be wonderful for them all to get to meet each other and know each other. Unfortunately, my mom passed away when I was pretty young, and so my daughter never got to meet my mom, which is kind of a shame. They actually have a lot in common, and they are very similar in personalities to each other. So that would be my sentimental choice. If you were stranded on a desert island with a ready supply of food and water but little else, what three things would you miss most and why? My answer for this is I don't necessarily like to travel, and there are no islands in Taos, so I don't have to worry about that. I can just enjoy my community and all my friends and family and everybody that's in the area. And lastly, if you were given a first-class ticket to travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? My kids, everybody makes fun of me because I am not a huge fan of traveling for a variety of reasons. So for me, ultimately, I would prefer to stay in Taos and let somebody else have my ticket and satisfy their dream. I absolutely love the community. I was raised in Taos. I went to school in Taos. I left. I could hardly wait to get back. Taos is one of the most creative and unique places I've ever been. It's filled with artists, writers, musicians, all sorts of talented, creative people. And it's hard for me to have a desire to go anywhere else. I just love the community in which I live. And ultimately, that's actually why I went back to teaching. I wanted to give back to the community that I was raised in, and I felt that was an important thing for me. And that is just my personal choice. So there's a bunch more questions on here. I'm not going to get through all of that, but I just wanted to share a few things with all you guys, and I'm really looking forward to you filling this out, getting it back to me so I can know more about you, and just try to be as honest as possible with your answers. And obviously, if you felt there's something in there you don't feel comfortable with answering, you don't have to. And I hope you enjoy it. And then don't forget to get your art supplies in so that we can start the following week with drawing. And we'll be off to the races.